mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt. Hope you're having yourselves a fantastic morning today and hopefully started your week off great. If it's the opposite and the week didn't start off great and you're not having a fantastic day, well, let's turn that frown upside down and let's find a way to make it better. So I hope that you are all ready for what's coming up this week. I'm ecstatic. I have been extremely impatient on bringing this to you this week with all honesty. Been very, very much wanting to bring you all of these Q&As for a while, and this is the Atlantic Action Week. The Atlantic Action Week featuring the ACC's Atlantic Division schools all throughout the week. We're going to be bringing you my Q&As with the teams inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and very happy to have you here on wakeupcalldt.com, on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, Wake Up Call on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, and facebook.com/livenowdt. So however you're listening and watching, welcome to the Cafe Kubal studios, located 3501 James Street for Cafe Kubal, as well as 401 South Salina Street, 208 North Townsend Street, where Kubal Co-works is, as well as 324 West Water Street in Syracuse, inside of Golisano's Children's Hospital. And you'll also find them on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in their newest location, which is their first ever drive-through location. So you can find them there at Sweetheart Corners for the Cafe Kubal drive-through, and you can find them on 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, in the giant brown striped building. Looks like coffee, almost like dripping, and it's a very cool, really cool building, and it's where all the roads converge to welcome you into Manlius. So a lot of great locations, plenty of ways to find Cafe Kubal, and you can go and get their cold brew, you can get their coffee to go, and so many different things, as well as their awesome sandwiches and treats and breakfasts, and literally all day long Cafe Kubal's got you set. So refuel at Cafe Kubal, where you'll find coffee for the soul and so much more. And I appreciate them so very much. So with that being stated, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets that thing called life, Atlantic Action Week is this week. I am so excited, so much looking forward to Atlantic Action Week. The Atlantic Division of the ACC being covered here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. And we're going to have the opportunity to have some fun with you all throughout, and very, very much looking forward to this. Today's broadcast, to start things off with Atlantic Action Week, we're going to be starting with NC State with the Wolfpack, then moving on to Wake Forest, the Demon Deacons, the Louisville Cardinals, and the Boston College Eagles will all be featured in this episode. From 9 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, you're going to see my video Q&As with NC State. And then from 9:30 to 10, we'll focus on Wake Forest. From 10 to 10:30 this morning, we will focus on Louisville, and we'll round out today's show with the Boston College Eagles from 10:30 to 11. And at the end of every Tuesday show, as we always do, the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicoli's on the corner of Route 11 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. Open Tuesday through Sunday, and they are there for lunch, dinner, and drinks. So awesome 4 schools coming up today, and then throughout the week. On Wednesday's show, we're going to have our specials, do our fantasy football and whatnot. Thursday, Papa Joe will join us, and Thursday in hour number 2, we will feature Clemson and Florida State. And then on Friday, saving it for TGIF, I will have my jam-packed Syracuse Q&As, multiple questions with Dino Babers, Aaron Service, Josh Black, and Taj Harris. And you will get something that you won't find anywhere else, a true representation of Syracuse going into the season, with a lot of time that I got to spend with their head coach, their offensive line, defensive line, and of course wide receiver in Taj Harris. So Syracuse this Friday, you'll be able to see them, and you'll get to hear from and see all of their opponents leading all the way into it. So I'm very, very excited for today, and without further ado, we're going to jump into NC State, and you'll have the opportunity to hear from the Wolfpack in my video Q&As with all of them. And so we're going to start things off with the head coach, Dave Doran, of the NC State Wolfpack, and this is what he had to say to me. And each of these, obviously different questions to different people. And so with NC State, we start with Dave Doran and what he's seen his offensive coordinator, Tim Beck, do with the offense since coming in. And this is what he had to say.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How you doing, Coach?
Good.
The offensive, kind of scheming under Tim Beck, just what you can say about what he's brought to this offense and how things are kind of looking at this point, stepping into 2021 from what he tried to build during the pandemic year.
Well, I'm glad that Tim has a full year to work with his guys. First of all, I think it can't be said enough. What he had to do last year, coming in new, not knowing any of the players, not getting to go through spring ball with our team, but 3 practices. He had no idea really what our talent was going into the season. And so we were a watered down version of what we will be. I think our offense will evolve quite a bit now that they know him, he knows them. They're speaking the same language, they've evolved. He's now been in the ACC and knows the league better as well. And for Devin and Tim to have the relationship they now have, going through a year together and, finishing Tim's sentences for him, I'm sure Devin will tell you he knows the offense at a completely different level than he did a year ago. And just the continuity of the staff too, those guys working together, it's all going to be, I'm not going to say it's better, we're going to go prove that it's better, but it has the opportunity to be much better than it was a year ago.
That coming here once again from Dave Doran, the head coach of the NC State Wolfpack, as we go through my Atlantic Action Week, action-packed with all 7 schools of the Atlantic Division of the ACC. You hearing from each and every single one of them inside the Cafe Kubal studios in my coverage of the 2021 college football season in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Next up on the docket is the center of NC State for the Wolfpack, and you'll have the opportunity now to hear from Grant Gibson on what he had to say off the field and on the field, just looking at how things have gone, takeaways from this past year and a half, and this is what he had to say about that.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. This past year and a half obviously has hopefully taught everybody a lot. What have been your biggest takeaways off the field? And then on the field, you talked about this being a family, just what you can say about how that family stayed close at a time where we had a lot of questions and not a lot of answers.
Yes, sir. So last year when we got sent home, we talked as a team and was like, listen, we need to grow from this. Because we didn't know how long we were going to be at home. So we were home for, I think, about 3 months. But during that time, though, we had Zoom calls, just trying to stay in touch with all the guys so that we could perform for next year. But I think that this past year has just taught us as a team that we can fight through anything. There was a lot of things off the field, too, like George Floyd got killed, and I think that brought us together as a team as well. Because we had some tough talks amongst our team about how we can grow from these issues and trying to teach other guys. So I think last year as a whole taught our team a lot.
That coming from Grant Gibson, the center for NC State, giving his take on how things have gone and how this last year has taught the team a lot. And like I said, hopefully it's taught a lot of us a lot of things. Hopefully we've all taken something away from this past year that's a positive, because if we didn't, I don't really know where we're going as a society. So hopefully things have gotten better for all of us. Hopefully they'll continue to get better for us. And I appreciate the fact that Grant took some time to speak with me about that on and off the field. I really do appreciate his time and everything that he brought and all the student athletes have brought that you'll hear from this week and beyond. Next up is Devin Leary, their quarterback, and Devin and I had the opportunity to talk about looking back on his play prior to his leg injury. What did he see positively overall and the areas he can improve on? So looking at Devin Leary, the quarterback of NC State, just what he took away from last year before his leg injury, and this is what he had to say.
Devin, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. What did you take away from last season prior to the leg injury that you had, just what you saw out of yourself going back and maybe looking at that film, and where have the improvements come post leg injury?
Yeah, I think there's always stuff to take away from film. I think last year before my injury, there was multiple different plays or multiple different things that I could have done better that I could take off of film, and whether it's within our offense or studying different defenses. And I think post-injury, that's my biggest emphasis, is just trying to study defense as much as I can and prepare the best way possible.
You know, Devin Leary getting ready for this upcoming season. Many quarterbacks, really Syracuse, didn't have a quarterback on site at the ACC, but throughout the ACC, we got to hear from quarterbacks all over and really get to know them and get to know kind of who they are and a little bit about their personality. Devin Leary being the first one that you're seeing in my coverage this year of the ACC heading into the season. Last year suffering a leg injury, and before he had that last season statistically, as we look at what he was able to do for 2020, had a 60% completion percentage, just shy of 1,000 yards passing, 8 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Played 2 seasons at NC State, and obviously everybody gets a free year due to the Corona year last year, so that's something to look to. Rounding out NC State is Peyton Wilson, their linebacker, and I spoke with him about leadership in the Wolfpack linebacker corps with himself, Isaiah Moore, as well as Mr. Thomas here, looking at that. So Isaiah Moore and Drake Thomas returning what he can say about the leadership, not just from himself, but from Isaiah and Drake as well. And this is what Peyton Wilson of NC State had to say to me as we continue the coverage of the NC State Wolfpack in Atlantic Action Week here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Peyton, you mentioned Isaiah and Drake just a couple minutes ago. What you can say about that linebacker core, your decision to return, and what the three of you bring to the table, not just for NC State, but for the ACC this year.
Right. I mean, I'm here today to represent us, but Drake and Isaiah, they make the thing up. Drake and Isaiah are very smart players, and they make me who I am. They help me day in and day out learning the game. And it runs a lot deeper than us three. Our linebacker core is very deep. We have people like Levi Jones, who is a game changer. We have young guys that came in, and they're going to make a huge impact. Caden and Jordan Poole. We're just so close together. It's almost like I'm out there playing with my family.
And coming from Peyton Wilson saying, listen, it isn't just me. It is Isaiah. It is Drake. And there's a bunch of guys behind us that are going to bring it this season. And it really is a family, as NC State was chosen by the majority of the media to finish second in the ACC Atlantic. I had them a little bit lower, but a lot of respect for Dave Doran, a lot of respect for what he's done, and really couldn't believe it when the fan base, some of the fan base, obviously not all, but that some people were willing to let go of Dave Doran. And I'm sitting here thinking, who are you going to bring in? What are you going to do? I mean, this man is a fine coach. He's done a lot of good things, and he deserves to be, to me, he deserves respect, and he's earned respect. He sends guys to the NFL, does a lot of things. So for the NC State Wolfpack, who garnered a lot of respect from the majority of the ACC media this year, picking them to finish second in the Atlantic Division behind Clemson. I don't have them second, but I can understand, the respect for them. I just thought that they would finish a little bit lower. I have them at 4th. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I'll also be unveiling that at the end of the week. I'll be unveiling my complete list for those of you that want to know kind of where I put everybody. You'll be getting that at the end of the week. So make sure you pay attention to that, as it will be coming up. I'll be releasing all my votes, and so you'll be able to see that here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and hear it on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. The NC State Wolfpack, hearing from Dave Doran, their head coach, center Grant Gibson, quarterback Devin Leary, and linebacker Peyton Wilson, all coming to you where sports meets life here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, as we start off our Atlantic Coast Conference Q&A coverage from my time down on site, on location at the Westin Charlotte in Charlotte, North Carolina for the ACC kickoff. And so this being Atlantic Action Week, once again, you'll be hearing just from the Atlantic Division this week, and then the Coastal next week. You'll have the opportunity to hear from them, which I'm very excited to bring you that as well. To take a look back at NC State this past season, the NC State Wolfpack, and obviously, in this Corona year that, things were kind of interesting for us all, and we all kind of had to navigate in very unique waters that hopefully will never be as bad as they were, and hopefully won't be the same as they were, because last year was trying times for literally everybody. And so to look back at NC State this past season, the NC State Wolfpack in 2020, what they were able to do, and this year they have obviously they have some interesting games. They got South Florida, which I cover in the American, but last year the NC State Wolfpack went 8-4 overall. They had wins against Wake Forest, Pittsburgh, Virginia, Duke, as well as Florida State, Liberty by 1 point, 15-14. Liberty almost beat 3 ACC schools in one season after never defeating one in their entire history as a football team. NC State defeated Syracuse and Georgia Tech, and NC State had losses to Virginia Tech, North Carolina, and Miami, as well as in the Tax Slayer Gator Bowl to Kentucky by 2 points, 23-21. Putting together a good season. 3 of their 4 losses were away from home. They only lost 1 game in Raleigh, North Carolina, and that was against Miami, 44-41. So, good season NC State's coming off of, and now hopefully with a healthy Devin Leary and company in that linebacker core, they'll be able to do what needs to be done to move forward in a positive fashion. And speaking of moving forward, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is getting ready for the back half of hour number 1, which will feature the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Coming up here inside the Cafe Kubal studios and inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. We'll take a step aside for a fast break, and when we come back, you will hear from Wake Forest head coach Dave Clawson, as well as quarterback Sam Hartman and linebacker Luke Masterson. We'll all be joining the broadcast on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora right after this fast break where sports truly meets life. We appreciate you being here, and thank you so much for all that you do just by simply clicking on Wake Up Call. It goes a long way.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop. and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, hanging out with you inside the Cafe Kubal studios. You're also watching on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So however you're connected with the show, thank you so much for being a part of Wake Up Call. And 24/7, you can be a part of what we're doing on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora by joining us on Facebook's at Wake Up Call DT for our page, as well as Twitter at Call DT and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. So make sure that you do that too. And of course, bookmark us on wakeupcalldt.com's website. So you can get everything there from me, and definitely always adding to it. So we'll have some cool stuff coming up there soon, and you'll be able to, watch a bunch of different things and see a bunch of things that we're doing and listen to a lot of stuff. We just added a ton of shows to the archive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Definitely a ton of places for you to connect with us. All you have to do, and it's free, and all you have to do is go to any one of these beautiful avenues and search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. You'll find us on Stitcher, Spotify, MixLR, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Podbean, and just, like I said, simply search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, all together. Added a ton of shows there for you on the archives, and a lot of the things, what's up there right now, as you know, for those of you that listen to the show avidly, we have a commissioner connection, and so I've been talking with commissioners all around the country. So the commissioner connection specials, I have the Patriot League with Jennifer Heppel. I have the Ivy League with Robin Harris. We have the Big South with Kyle Calander. The A-Sun with Ted Gumbart. The Big West with Dan Butterly. The Summit with Tom Duppel, as well as we have the SoCon, the Southern Conference, which is celebrating their 100th year of existence from 1921 to 2021. And I have Jim Schaus on there. And, of course, we have the Southland Conference as well with Tom Burnett. So you can go and listen in to all of those. I also have a conversation with American Athletic Commissioner, who is a mainstay on the show, Mike Oresco, and Sire Torrance, CNY native and CBA wide receiver, getting his offer from Syracuse, as well as his brother Symir Torrance coming back to Syracuse from Marquette and transferring in for the basketball program this season. Wolfgang Schaefer, the son of Scott Schaefer, speaking on football, relationships, and more on his journey to attain his dreams. We have my one-on-one with Jimmy Boeheim following his decision to come to Syracuse from Cornell. We have an exclusive with West Genesee alum and New York State champion Luke Sutherland as he decided to come to Lemoyne. We have an exclusive with West Genesee alum Kenzie Smith following her decision to return to the state of New York as well and join St. Bonaventure. So all of these are up there right now for you to listen to, and you can get them on any one of those outlets, once again, by searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podbean, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, YouTube, MixLR. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. So make sure that you do that today. Go and download these apps for free, and then just get Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on all of them, and of course everything that we've just added to it. So a lot of great interviews up there right now. Over 1,500 episodes available to you, and you can check them out at any time at your leisure. So make sure that you do that today, and make sure that you connect with us. We appreciate it so very much. So with that being said, inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, Atlantic Action Week, an entire week action-packed with every single one of the 7 schools representing the Atlantic Division of the ACC. And just to show you, these logos all together on YouTube and Facebook, Atlantic Action Week, Boston College, Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, NC State, Syracuse, and Wake Forest. Today bringing you NC State, Wake Forest, Louisville, and Boston College. This Thursday, Clemson and Florida State, and rounding out the week on TGIF. It's only perfect that Syracuse is on TGIF because ABC's TGIF lineup used to be my favorite thing to watch on TV. So your favorite thing to watch this Friday is going to be my Q&As with Syracuse with Dino Babers. Multiple questions for head coach Dino Babers, as well as offensive lineman Aaron Service, defensive lineman Josh Black, and wide receiver Taj Harris. So we head into our next team in the state of North Carolina, and those are the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. And I'm going to start things off with head coach Dave Clawson and what he had to say when I had an opportunity to speak with him. Dave and I have spoken with each other many times over the years, and it's always my pleasure to have him on the show. So without further ado, here's the head coach of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, Dave Clawson, speaking on 5 straight bowl appearances in 7 years with the program. So just what he can say about that. Here's Coach Clawson.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing great.
This season, as you step forward, it's 7 years, I believe 5 bowls in 7 years. Just what you can say about the evolution of Wake Forest football and where we're heading in 2021 from your opinion.
Well, I think we've made a lot of progress. We're certainly proud of the fact that we've been to 5 straight bowls for the first time in the history of the program. But we want more. There's a whole nother level that we want to get to. And I think it's really good that I think our program is now one that expects to be in a bowl. But taking that next step in our leg is difficult. But we think we have a group this year that's capable of doing that. And, whether it's New Year's Day bowls or, being in contention to win the ACC Atlantic, obviously that's a very high standard in the ACC, but that has to be our goal. And we'd love to get to that second to last game in November against Clemson, with it meaning a lot for both football teams.
Dave Clawson setting the bar high, saying, okay, listen, yeah, we made 5 bowl games in my 7 years of the program 5 straight bowl games. Not even just 5 bowl games, but bowl games of the last 5 years, which definitely shows you that he came in, he said it was going to take time, it did, and now going to bowl games every single season of the last 5 years after the first 2 seasons with the program says a lot about him, and very much appreciate the fact that, Wake Forest believed in him, because I remember interviewing him years ago, and he said to me, listen, when I came to Wake, I told them it was going to take time. Like, basically, don't hire me unless you understand that this is going to take time. Don't hire me to turn this thing around in 5 seconds, because it's not going to happen that way. And being honest about that and being kind of just straightforward, saying, if I'm going to take this job, you're going to have to give me the time to build this team and not fault me if I can't do it in 5 seconds. And not going in his first 2 seasons to a bowl game, then going for the last 5 straight years. That shows you something. It's not like he went for 2 years and then not for 1 and then went and then not for 2. Consistency at Wake, going to 5 straight bowl games. And now he said, you want to do more, whether it's a New Year's Day bowl, you want the game to count against Clemson. And he said, our job is to win. It's to win the ACC, it's to win the Atlantic. And yeah, that's a tall task because you have to go through Clemson like everybody else. But he said that has to be our goal. It has to be. So people might laugh him off, but people laughed off Dabo Swinney when he was the wide receiver coach at Clemson and he took over as head coach, and he said, we're going to build a champion, like we're going to build success here at Clemson. And allegedly in that room, there was a lot of laughter. And now he's considered the best college football coach currently, if not the second best, with Nick Saban of Alabama. So, something to be said about when you believe in yourself and you keep working. And Wake Forest has done a tremendous job. And listen, Wake Forest is treated like the little brother inside of the ACC. Well, they're far better than Syracuse. 5 straight bowl games, far better than the Orange. So, it's one of those things where you can't overlook them if you're Syracuse. You can't overlook them if you're Louisville, BC, NC State, anybody. And to take a look at Wake Forest, we'll do that after we hear from everybody and get some thoughts. And Greg writing in today, and it's funny because we're going to hear from Sam Hartman in just a second. He said, Sam Hartman of QB1 Netflix fame seems like a great young man and leader. And he'll be coming up momentarily, not before we hear from Luke Masterson, linebacker on the team. And just hearing Coach Dave Clawson say he wanted to move him to linebacker 2 years ago. Just what his takeaways were about that, because Coach said during the ACC kickoff, I've been trying to move Luke Masterson to linebacker for the last 2 years. So I asked Luke what he thinks about that decision as he's been all throughout the defense, and this is what he had to say.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach Clausen spoke about the fact that he wanted to transition you for the last couple of years. Just speak about kind of where you've elevated that game and going to, that point of these last 2 years, him wanting to put you there and then you finally getting to have that spot right now.
Yeah, I think I've been blessed to play 3 different positions at Wake. I think obviously it's been hard to go back and forth, but there are blessings in that as well because I know what's going on behind me and what's going on in front of me. So the transition hasn't been as bad because I've been used to being in the box and I've been behind the box in the secondary. I've been on board with this decision from the get-go, and I'm really excited for this year.
Luke Masterson saying, listen, he knows what's going on in front of him. He knows what's going on behind him because he's played in every portion of the defense. Played on the line, played in the secondary, and is now at linebacker, willing to do whatever it takes to help out his coach and to help out his team. And I felt that genuineness from Luke Masterson when he was up at the podium at ACC kickoff. And so I definitely, I think it's great for him. It could pay off dividends for him if NFL teams are out there looking and trying to add another guy to the fray and say, okay, listen, this guy's played in the secondary, he's played linebacker, and he's played D-line, so he knows every portion of this. We can shift him and move him to where we need to put him. Could be great on special teams as well because of that respect. So something to look to with Luke Masterson as we step forward into the 2021 season. And our final conversation of the Wake Forest portion of the Atlantic Action Week happening on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, with today being the jump off of the Atlantic Action Week, hearing from NC State, Wake Forest, Louisville, and BC, and you'll hear from Florida State and Clemson on Thursday. You'll hear from Syracuse on Friday. These are all my Q&As with them. So all the audio and video you're seeing, obviously you're hearing my voice. These are my questions to the players and the coaches all throughout the ACC. Atlantic Action Week happening this week on Wake Up Call, and I'm so excited to be able to do this for you. I've been looking forward to this for a while now, and now as we continue with Wake Forest, coming up next, Sam Hartman, the quarterback, which I got to say, his haircut is awesome. The fade, the short on the sides, and the long dark hair up top. I'm sitting here going, I don't usually grow out my hair, but if I did, would I kind of look at the Sam Hartman model and give it some respect there? And I feel like I would. So Sam was in familiar territory, being from the Charlotte, North Carolina area. So I asked him about repping the team, Dave Clausen, why he bought into this program as he returned to Charlotte, which are familiar digs for the young quarterback.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Sam, you're in familiar grounds here in Charlotte, representing this team and with the coach that you have. What can you say about the vision of Dave Clausen and how it's come through for you and why you bought into it?
Like Coach hit on before, it's a culture, it's a legacy that guys have left before me. Guys that stood on the stage, Cam Serenades, Grant Dawson, Kate Carney, Justice Renaz. I believed in that program just based on meeting those guys and meeting Coach. It's been an incredible ride. We played early, played at the high level, and there's the job that's not finished, and looking forward to completing those goals that I set when I was a freshman this year and years to come.
The goals that he has set for this year and years to come. Sam Hartman joining us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the quarterback of the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Now, Wake Forest last season went 4-5. They did go to a bowl game. At 4-4, they were able to go to a bowl game because, just the reality of the fact that these bowls needed teams to participate. And so they were able to go and play Wisconsin with a 4-4 record, believe it or not. They were 3-4 in the ACC, and they lost to Wisconsin in the Duke's Mayo Bowl, 42-28. Their losses came first game of the season against Clemson, 37-13, when Clemson was ranked number 1 in the country. They lost to NC State on the road. The Clemson game was at home. They lost to North Carolina on the road and Louisville on the road. So of all the games they played, just like NC State, they only lost one game at home, and that being in Winston-Salem. And their game that they won came against Campbell, Virginia Tech, when Virginia Tech was ranked 19th in the country. They defeated Syracuse on the road as well. So 3 out of their 4 wins came at home, and only 1 of their losses came at home. So that's something to be said about the Wake Forest Demon Deacons taking care of home base, taking care of Winston-Salem very, very well. So excited to see what they're going to come up with next and how they're going to go from here. Taking a look at Sam Hartman by the numbers. Sam Hartman, as he steps into this season with the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, and being a young cat on here, especially with the free year coming this past season due to Corona, looking at what he's been able to do, he had in 2018 1,984 yards, 16 touchdowns to 8 interceptions, 55% completion percentage. In 2019, 830 yards and a 56.7% completion percentage, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in a year that we really didn't see him. And then last year, 58.2% completion percentage, 2,224 yards, which was his best, and 13 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So on his career, he is about 57% completion percentage, which I'm sure he wants to raise that bar. 33 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, so more than double touchdowns-wise to his interceptions as he steps forward, and over 5,000 yards in his time at Wake. So, as we move forward with the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, making note of the fact that Wake Forest this season was picked toward the bottom of the ACC, picked 6th by the majority of the media. I put them 7th. So again, the media and I kind of right there in line, that if I don't have it on the exact same line, it's maybe one up or one down. So that's what it looks like. A Wake Forest pick to finish down at the bottom of the Atlantic Division with Syracuse this season as everything gets set and ready to go for the upcoming 2021 season for the ACC. And I want to take a step aside here for a second before we get into my conversations with Louisville to give a shout out, obviously, to the TBT and to Syracuse, the former Syracuse players and overall representation for Boeheim's Army and what they have done to get to where they are. They are in the championship game. That championship game will be played tonight, Tuesday, August 3rd. So you should be doing nothing else but watching the game tonight. I wanted to take some time. I know it's Atlantic Action Week, and we're talking about the Atlantic and everything going on here inside of the ACC for football. But I didn't want to miss my opportunity to give a shout out to Syracuse's Boeheim's Army. Just the beauty of the representation of these former Syracuse players in a thing like the TBT. Who would have thought, all of us that love March Madness, that we would ever be able to see former players play in a March Madness type of tournament? And to have that moment is just truly remarkable and incredible. We look at how things went. Eberlein Drive and the NG Saints, Eberlein defeated them. When we look at the Wichita side of things here, just looking at this championship, and so seeing how things shook out, Eberlein Drive defeated NG Saints and moved on to play Stillwater, which is Oklahoma State, that defeated the Enchantment. And then Eberlein was able to move on. Florida TNT and Kimchi Express, Florida won that game. The LA Cheaters and the Mental Toughness faced each other. LA won, and then Florida defeated LA, which gave us Eberlein and Florida Florida advanced from there and were able to get in to their side of things. And then we saw a Team Arkansas go up against Fort Worth, and Arkansas won that game. Team Challenge ALS defeated We Are D3. ALS defeated Team Arkansas, and then we saw Purple and Black face Omaha, and Omaha won that game. The Aftershocks went forward against the Expats, and the Shocks won that to face off against Team ALS. And just seeing these regions and how everything shook out here, just really awesome to take a look at all of this. So in the Wichita region, then Florida went up against the Shocks, and Florida was able to advance from there, Florida TNT. And then in the Columbus region, we saw Carmen's crew go up against the Mid-American. Carmen's won. Metamaki defeated Volunteers. And then we saw from there, we saw the Carmen's crew move forward. The money team faced off against the region. The money team won. Team Hines against Brown and White. The money team won, Team Hines won that. Team Hines won that and went on to play the money team, and the money team moved on from that region. Then we look at Blue Collar against the Nerd team. Blue Collar won. Zip 'em Up for Xavier against Ohio, 1804. Zip 'em Up won. Wolf Blood against Category 5. Category 5 won. And Red Scare over the BC Vahakni City. Red Scare won that, faced off against Category 5. Category 5 moved forward to face off against Blue Collar. And then we saw the money team face Blue Collar and go on from there to the Blue Collar advancing to the Final Four of theirs. And then in the West Virginia region, it's all over the place here. It's a lot of stuff going on here. Sideline Cancer defeated Founding Fathers, and then Primetime Players in Fort Wayne. Fort Wayne won. Sideline Cancer defeated Fort Wayne. War Ready against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers won, and then Armored Athlete beat HBC United. And so we got to see Armored Athlete go on against the Buccaneers, and the Buccaneers were able to move on from here. And then we see Team 23, and heard that. Team 23 defeated them. Best Virginia against Woco Showtime, and Best Virginia won. Bleed Virginia in D2. D2 won. And then we saw Best Virginia move forward against T23. And then T23 played up against Sideline Cancer, and Team 23 won, which gave them the spot in the Final Four out of the West Virginia region. And then in the Illinois region, the Golden Eagles defeated the B1 Ballers. Team Brotherly against playing for Jimmy V. And we got to see Jimmy V go, and then Golden Eagles defeated them. Autism Army against SCD Hoops. Autism Army won that. Always Us against Peoria All-Stars. Always Us won. And then Autism Army advanced from that to face off against Golden Eagles. The Golden Eagles won theirs. And then we saw Heartfire win and Bayheim's Army win. Bayheim's Army defeated Heartfire. Forces of Soul is who Bayheim's Army originally played. They defeated them to move on against Heartfire. And then Always a Brave in Chicago going up against each other. Chicago Hoopville Warriors. Always a Brave won. And the House of Pagan against Jackson, Tennessee. Underdogs. Jackson won up against Always a Brave they faced, and then Always a Brave faced Bayheim's Army. Bayheim's Army faced the number 1 seeded, and this is funny. When Syracuse won the 2003 National Championship for men's Division I basketball, they were a 3 seed, and they had to defeat a bunch of 1 seeds on the way. Well, the Golden Eagles are a 1 seed, Bayheim's Army was a 3 seed, and Bayheim's Army won. Bayheim's Army went on to play the Florida TNT, and Bayheim's Army won that game by 2 points, 66-64. And then Team 23 defeated Blue Collar U, 78-62, which set up our championship game tonight, August 3rd at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Bayheim's Army, a 3 seed, taking on 6-seeded Team 23 for the rights of the TBT 2021 championship nationally and $1 million winner takes all. So, very excited to see what's going to happen here with Bayheim's Army and the crew, and you definitely have to check that out. I mean, and to give credit to the TBT, everybody was talking about the NBA bubble and how well they did. Well, first and foremost, the MLS was doing a bubble around the same time as the NBA doing their bubble, and they both did them down in the ESPN Wide World of Sports, and down at the ESPN Wide World of Sports in Orlando, Florida. So they were both able to do that. But before anybody tried a bubble, it really was the TBT. So if you're going to give credit to the bubble situation, you got to give credit to the TBT before you give it to the MLS, before you give it to the NBA. And so shout out to the TBT for everything they did last year, as they were like the first thing on television, really, last year for live sports. And now we're looking at the fact that here they are after doing it last year in 2020. In 2021, the championship is in Dayton, Ohio, which is great for Dayton because they lost the first 4 this year in the men's Division I NCAA tournament. They normally have all the play-in games, which are called the first four games, and they lost that this year for the first time in a very long time. And so to have the TBT championship is a great, great thing, and I'm so excited for them and excited to see what's coming up here. So shout out to the TBT and shout out to Boeheim's Army and everything here in Dayton, Ohio. Very excited to see this and have this moment happen from the Wichita region, the Illinois region, the West Virginia region, and the Columbus region all converging together to end with Boeheim's Army repping Syracuse alumni and so much more. And Team 23 is moving forward as well. So we get to see this matchup tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and this will all be played for the championship once again in Dayton, Ohio. So I'm very much looking forward to this. Team 23 has a Sean Dixon Tatum. We have Bobby Brown. We have Charles Mitchell, Craig Sword, as well as Eric Griffin, E. Victor Nicholson, Dakari Tucker, Eric Washington, Mike Iliano, Sunil Sahan, Terrell Smith, and we also have Marcus Hall, Raphael Putney, and Mike Iliano is the GM of the team, so let me make that known here. We have Walter Lemon Jr., and we have Michael Kaiser, if I didn't mention him as well. Eric Griffin had some time with the Dallas Mavericks, so that's some cool stuff here going on. And on the other side, and then Craig Sword with the NBA as well, and then Boeheim's Army, for those of you that need to know. Boeheim's Army featuring players that you know from, and Matt saying he loves the Boeheim's Army jerseys. I concur. Yeah, pretty cool this year, the Boeheim's Army jerseys. A lot of good stuff. So Boeheim's Army's team with, Syracuse alumni as well as others. Andrew White III, DeAndre Kane on the team, Tyler Lydon, Tyrese Rice, Malachi Richardson, Eric Devendorf, CJ Fair, Chris McCullough, as well as Sean Belby as the GM of the team, Kevin Belby with him as well as a GM, Ryan Blackwell as the assistant coach, Jeremy Pope as the head coach, Kiefer Sykes on the team, and DJ Kennedy, all making up this year's Boeheim's Army, which is the first team to ever fight for the championship with an opportunity to win it. So we'll see what happens tonight. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we're back to Atlantic Action Week as we continue the conversation of my Q&As with the Atlantic Division of the ACC, my video and audio Q&As with the entire Atlantic Division of the ACC happening this week on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and you'll be able to get the individual videos of each question coming up as well as on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, which I'll share all over the place. And so coming up next are the Louisville Cardinals, as we've given you NC State and Wake Forest in the North Carolina area. Now we head to Louisville, Kentucky for what's coming up next, as you'll hear from the Cardinals on the show, Scott Satterfield, their head coach, as well as linebacker C.J. Avery, quarterback Malik Cunningham, and tight end Marshawn Ford, with an awesome story going from walk-on to starter and representing the team at the ACC kickoff. So all of that's coming up with the Louisville Cardinals right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success at Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on wakeupcalldt.com, your one-stop sports shop, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, hanging out inside the Cafe Kubal Studios, Cafe Kubal, here inside of Central and Upstate New York with multiple locations for you to head out to. 401 South Salina Streets, 3501 James Street, 208 North Townsend Street, as well as 324 West Water Street. And, of course, you'll find them inside of Galisanos Children's Hospital, all those locations in Syracuse, New York. You'll also be able to find them out in Manlius at 343 Fayette Street in Manlius, New York, the giant behemoth of a brown-striped building where all roads converge into Manlius. They're right there for you. And you can find them at their newest location, which is out on the corner of Route 11 and Taft Road in North Syracuse at Sweetheart Corners. So very, very excited to have them there. Their first ever drive-through location, Cafe Kubal. I was always hoping that they would get a drive-through, and they finally got their first drive-through with everything they've done coming through a pandemic. I shouldn't say finally. I mean, I'm so excited. I mean, for me, impatiently waiting finally, but I'm so excited for them to have that and to be able to celebrate their first ever drive-through. So a big-time shout-out to the awesome people and the incredible work put forward by the entire staff and, of course, the main man, Matt Goddard, over there at Cafe Kubal for bringing in their first ever drive-through. Because for them, they do everything there as it's happening, so they take a little bit more time, put a little more love, little more oomph to everything, And so they have a system, and Matt won't run anything unless the system is right. And so having the right way to go about having a drive-through is not as easy as everybody thinks. And they want to do it right every time. Not one time, not in the morning, but not in the afternoon. They want to do it all throughout the week. And they want to be able to give everybody the same great experience. So to take the time that they've taken, I appreciate them so very much. And that's why I'm proud to have them here as our studio partner and to go all around Central and Upstate New York every single month and to hang out at different Cafe Kubal locations and to do the show live on site on location with awesome guests. So much appreciation to Cafe Kubal, much appreciation to you as you listen on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, as well as watch and listen on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So, however you're tuning in, I appreciate you so much. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. It is Atlantic Action Week, which means that Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is bringing you representation of every single Atlantic Division team inside of the Atlantic Coast Conference. And I had the opportunity to have question and answer sessions with all 7 teams inside of the Atlantic Division. You've heard from NC State and Wake Forest. It's now time to travel to Kentucky and to hear from the Louisville Cardinals. So without further ado, we jump into my first question of a couple with Scott Satterfield. And this is what he had to say about taking over the reins at offensive coordinator along with being the head coach. So here is my conversation with Scott Satterfield, the head coach of the Louisville Cardinals.
Coach Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Just what you would say about the offense moving forward. I know obviously on your coaching staff there's been some shifting and whatnot. Just what you can say about running the offense and what we can expect this year.
Yeah, we did. We got a new offensive line coach, a new running back coach come in. But we're running our same offense. We're going to be doing the same thing. The way we do things is a collaborative effort within our coaching staff, trying to get the ball in the hands of the best players is the bottom line. We sit down as a staff and go over the game plan. Everybody's on a board with everything that we're doing. And I'll be calling the plays on Saturday, but utilizing a lot of help from our coaching staff as we get to that. We'll be a very similar offense as we've been in the past. We're going to run football and do a lot of play action, and then also be able to utilize the running ability of Cunningham at the quarterback position, dynamic player. Marshawn Ford, who's here today as well, is a guy who's been as an H-back for us and the tight end type. He'll be a little bit more expanded role now as a little bit of a receiver as well. So we'll be able to utilize him to do that. And we did lose 2 great players last year to the draft with Tutu Atwell, Des Fitzpatrick. And then we also lost a to free agency. So there are some new faces that are going to be in the offense this year, but I'm very excited about the guys we are bringing back and the guys that can play. They'll be producing at a high level, and some of the guys we don't really know, they're not household names yet, but hopefully they will be at the end of the season.
That coming from Scott Satterfield, once again the head coach of the Louisville Cardinals, giving his take on not having the offense and the head coach, as there's been some movement and some shakeup with Scott Satterfield's coaching staff and everything going on in Louisville. The second question that I had to Scott in my discussion with the Louisville Cardinals here in Atlantic Action Week was about Malik Cunningham and where he's seen his quarterback improve the most. And this is what Scott Satterfield had to say about his quarterback, Malik Cunningham, who you also hear from here on the show today.
You had brought up Malik Cunningham a little bit earlier, just a few minutes ago. Where have you seen the most improvement from Malik, and what quarterback are we getting this season?
Yeah. Well, Malik over the past 2 years has been a very productive quarterback. 55 touchdowns, responsible for 2 seasons, and 2 years ago was one of the highest QBRs in local history. He's an extremely accurate passer. When he gets a clean pocket, he's hard to beat. And the thing that he's got to get better at, obviously, is taking care of the football. And not all the turnovers were his fault last year. There were some other circumstances with that, but the thing he's been able to do this past offseason, get in the film room, study the film a lot more, understand where his strengths are and how to expand on that, and take those negatives that he had, able to extend plays like he is, there's a fine line there when you got to say, okay, the defense has this one, you know, let me throw the ball away, as opposed to I can always make the play. And there's a fine line there, and that comes through experience, and he's got to understand when he can't make those type of plays. But he's capable of being one of the best quarterbacks in the country this year. I believe that. I believe he's got a lot of guys around him that make that happen. And with the depth we have up front, we'll be better protected this year. And should open up more running lanes for us, which would in return will help the passing game. But he can have an outstanding season for us. And then I think, obviously, when he plays well, then so the Cardinals will play well as a team, and we'll be able to win some games with that.
That coming from Scott Satterfield, the head coach of the Louisville Cardinals, speaking on his quarterback, Malik Cunningham. And, talking about the fact that, obviously better decision-making, knowing, okay, we don't have this one, get rid of the ball, send it off and get it out of here. And then saying that the protection will be better for the team and the evolution of Malik Cunningham as he believes he could be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And we'll hear from Malik in just a second. But before we hear from Malik, to just look statistically at Malik Cunningham and what he has been able to do most recently here as we look at Malik Cunningham last season, 2,617 yards passing, 64.1% completion percentage, 20 touchdowns to 12 interceptions, and he was sacked 28 times. Now, Malik Cunningham, his top two targets were Des Fitzpatrick and Tutu Atwell, who are both gone, who accounted for over 1,400 of the receiving yards last season for the team and accounted for 10 touchdowns together, as well as accounting for over 80 catches. So they're going to have some other guys step up, like Marshawn Ford, their tight end, and a bunch of different guys on this team are going to have to find their way in the wide receiver core to really help out Malik Cunningham to make up for those 10 touchdowns, 80-plus receptions, and over 1,400 receiving yards. And speaking of Malik Cunningham, a perfect timing to put Malik on the show here in Atlantic Action Week. In my Q&A with Malik Cunningham, I asked the quarterback of the Louisville Cardinals where he's had his improvements come in his game, the areas he's focused on. So where has he seen improvements and kind of what he's focusing on as he steps forward?
Malik, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You heard Coach say where he feels your improvement has come. From looking back at the film and kind of looking over these last couple seasons, what have you seen in your game and where are the improvements coming for 2021?
Definitely the improvement is going to be in turnover margin. Try to keep those things down. Turnover is not something we can work on, but I spent a lot of time in the film room and building the confidence in my receivers and those guys to make plays for me this year. So that's what we're going to do.
Speaking of counting on those receivers to make plays and to do good things for the team moving forward, it's going to take these guys stepping up. It's going to take, they're going to need help. They're going to have somebody step up. And Marshawn Ford is one of those guys that stepped up in a huge way on the Louisville Cardinals. He was a walk-on who is now a starter, who is now representing the team at ACC kickoff. Marshawn last year was the fourth highest receiver, even though he's playing tight end, fourth highest receiver in yards. With 309, he reeled in 25 catches, and of those 25 catches, 6 of them were touchdowns. So almost a quarter of them were touchdowns for him, and his long receiving play was 63 yards, which is only 3 behind Tutu Atwell's 66, and less than 20 yards behind Des Fitzpatrick's 82, which was his longest receiving play of last season. Marshawn Ford, my conversation with him, a message to the walk-ons, just what he can say to walk-ons around the country and those chasing their dreams in general as he went from a walk-on to a red zone threat. Here is what Marshawn Ford had to say to me about his journey and his advice.
Marshawn, your unique story at Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com, but your unique story of being a walk-on and elevating to where you are right now, representing your team here at ACC Kickoff, just what you could say about your specific road to get here and what you would say to walk-ons in general, that there is that open opportunity and dreams can be realized.
You're always counted out as a walk-on. You always got to take advantage of your opportunities, like each and every day. And me, I was blessed to be able to get opportunities to coach that, and I tried to take advantage of it, and I did. And, he rewarded me with a scholarship, and ever since then, I've been humble and grateful that I was able to get that scholarship.
So taking advantage of the opportunities, being humble and going after it and getting the scholarship, showing walk-ons all over the country that not only can you make it onto the field, but you can become a starter. You can become somebody wearing a suit representing your team in front of the entire nation and the entire world at ACC kickoff. There is no ceiling. If you truly believe in yourself and you believe in your dreams and you believe in who you are and what you're all about, there is no ceiling. And I think that anybody that's in your life that tries to put a ceiling on you, those people don't need to be in your life. They really don't. And I've realized that in such a big way, is that those that try to cap you out, those that put a ceiling, those that don't wish fame on you, those that don't want you to get, they want you to get big, but not this big, but a big that they're comfortable with. When somebody is trying to put a glass ceiling above you, I would very kindly tell them that you don't live in a glass house, and really nobody can live in a glass house because everybody has, nobody's perfect. But if someone tries to put that glass ceiling above you, I'm going to shatter it, okay? And we probably don't belong to be in the same room together, because I don't believe in taking someone's dreams and pulling them away from them or minimizing them, or telling them to not go that far. So Marshawn Ford, for what he did and how he, just him believing in himself, him being a walk-on, working to what he got to do, being a red zone target. Like I said, almost a quarter of the receptions he had being touchdowns, 6 touchdowns last season. Receivers all over the country don't have that. He's a tight end and he's a walk-on, and now he's repping the team at the ACC kickoff in Charlotte, North Carolina, in front of all the other 13 institutions in the ACC for football, as well as the entire nation and the world. I think if you're looking for a reason to believe in your dreams, Marshawn Ford gave it to you over and over and over again in a multi-layered, amazing story to tell. Next up here is CJ Avery of the Louisville Cardinals, linebacker of the team, and I asked him, what is Louisville football going into 2021? How would he describe Louisville football this season? This is what he had to say.
CJ, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. An overall look at Louisville going into 2021. Where has this team improved the most coming out of the spring, and how would you define what this team will be as you step forward here?
I think within our program, we've improved the most with leadership. We have a lot more guys that are willing to be leaders and step up and just make sure the team, comes together and plays as one. That's the key thing. If you don't have any leaders on your team, then it's kind of hard to be a great team. So that's what we've improved the most.
CJ Avery speaking on the leadership is where it's improved the most. That this team didn't necessarily have the leaders last year, but they have the leaders now. And having the leaders now, just what that can turn into and how that can really help them as they step forward into the 2021 season. CJ Avery speaking on the Louisville Cardinals and where they go from here. And as we move on here in Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the last team that we have for you today in Atlantic Action Week is going to be the BC Cardinals. I'm very excited to have Boston College on. 2 teams had a new coach come in last season in the ACC, and we didn't get to meet them because we did not have ACC kickoff with the typical media. And so we were unable to be around Boston College's Jeff Hafley, their head coach, as well as Florida State's Mike Norvell, who I've had the pleasure of knowing the last 4 years at Memphis before he came to Florida State last season. So I knew Mike Norvell, but did not know Jeff Hafley. And Jeff is going to be coming up in just a few minutes here to lead Boston College. The head coach will be speaking with me, as well as Zion Johnson, their offensive lineman, Phil Jerkovich, their quarterback, and Marcus Valdez, their defense end, will all be joining the show as the Boston College Eagles continue the Jeff Hafley era, stepping forward into the 2021 season, his second season with the team in Atlantic Action Week, focusing on the Atlantic Division all week long here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Today, starting it off with NC State, Wake Forest, Louisville, and BC. This Thursday, you'll hear from Clemson and Florida State, and we'll round out the week with a TGIF unforgettable Q&A session with the Syracuse Orange head coach Dino Babers, as well as offensive lineman Aaron Service, defensive lineman Josh Black, and wide receiver Taj Harris. So that's all coming up here in Atlantic Action Week, which I'm very, very excited to do. And I want to take a look back at Louisville's season as we did with the other teams here. The Louisville Cardinals last season under Scott Satterfield and what they were able to do for 2020, a very unique year, and kind of everybody, people trying to play their games, not necessarily being able to. Their team went 4-7. Their losses came at home against Miami. In a 3-game road stint, they lost 3 in a row to Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech, and Notre Dame on the road. At the time, Pitt and Notre Dame were ranked. They also lost to Virginia Tech at home and lost at Virginia in a game that was postponed a week from November 7th to November 14th, and they lost at Boston College. So going back and looking at the Louisville Cardinals, of their 7 losses last season, 2 of them came at home, Miami and Virginia Tech, and the other 5 on the road. Their 4 wins were against Western Kentucky, which was the only team that they played out of conference, as the ACC were allowed 1 non-conference game. That was their first game of the season. They won in the state of Kentucky 35-21. They defeated Florida State at home 48-16. They defeated Syracuse at home 30-0, and they defeated Wake Forest at home 45-21. So, record at home 4-2. Record on the road 0-5. So that's how the season shook out, I should say, for the Louisville Cardinals. They did not win a single road game last season, with all 4 of their wins coming at home, where they had a 4-2 record for the Louisville Cardinals, as we get set for the BC Eagles coming up here in just a couple minutes on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And just like we did with the TBT and Boeheim's Army, we had a couple minutes to step aside and talk about something else here. The NBA draft, I'll be getting Dave Paziak here on soon to talk about all of these things. But seeing the fact that the Los Angeles Lakers are bringing in Russell Westbrook, the triple-double machine, he'll be coming on to the team. And we're looking at Kent Bazemore, Wayne Ellington, Trevor Ariza, and Dwight Howard could all be returning to the team as well. So it'll be interesting to see the Los Angeles Lakers now as they just keep adding and adding and adding. LeBron James, a superstar. Dwight Howard, in his time, was known as a superstar. Trevor Ariza was a rising star. Russell Westbrook has been a superstar. So to see all of these players on the same team, Anthony Davis, another superstar, again, LeBron James buying his way to a championship and trying to put all this together. We'll see if it's going to happen. We'll see where we're going to go from here. And, I respect LeBron's talent. But, this man doesn't make, this man gets bumped in the playoffs and he just keeps buying people up. You know what I mean? It's not about molding young talent. It's not about, finding a way to learn as a team. It's about, okay, we didn't win, let's add another superstar. Okay, we didn't win, let's add another superstar. Okay, we didn't win, let's add another and another and another until we have a team that's so stocked that it looks like somebody's fantasy team and that everybody else in the fantasy draft fell asleep and didn't even decide to draft. So, it's the way that it's gone about. That's what it is to me. It's seeing it's ridiculous. Looking at a team with the players that the Los Angeles Lakers are looking to have now, their roster as they go into this. It's just ridiculous to look at the roster that they're going to have for this upcoming season with the players that are on there. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who I got to see a couple years at Orlando Pro Summer League, who just played very, very well. Loved watching him. Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, Marc Gasol, and then, bringing in some other guys that they're looking to have here, like a Russell Westbrook and company. So, it's one of those things where you just kind of sit back and say to yourself, how does this team lose? I mean, genuinely, how do they lose? How can they lose? Can they lose? Is really the question. So, that's where I'm sitting at right now. Is can the Lakers? I mean, obviously they can. Other teams can win, but Howard and pardon me, Kyle Kuzma and Montrezl Harrell moving on. I was looking at the other, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. But looking at Russell Westbrook, I was looking at both things here. Trevor Ariza, Wayne Ellington, Dwight Howard, Kent Bazemore, Russell Westbrook, pending transactions here. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, all these guys on here. So just seeing what it looks like now with Russell Westbrook, Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, and LeBron James. I mean, that's it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous roster. That's what it is. It's nuts. And, you're essentially buying a championship. So, I don't know what you want me to say. Good for you guys. I mean, it's one of those things where how are you supposed to feel about it? I mean, to me, it's ridiculous. But what are you going to do? This is what you can do in the NBA. You can kind of do your conversations and talk about playing together, and Dwight Howard's coming to the tail end of his career, and Russell Westbrook is getting older, and so, why not just go here and win these championships and do this together? And, I guess that's cool, and I guess that's fun, but I don't know. I miss when the NBA, you had to, the NBA, and listen, there is talent around the NBA. I'm not saying there's not talent around the NBA. There's a ton of talent around the NBA. And Milwaukee, who was a team that a lot of people thought should have won a couple of years ago, and they thought they should have won last year. They thought they should have won 2 years ago, and then here they are winning this season in a time where they weren't being paid attention to as much. So I think that's a testament to their hard work and everything that they put together, and really Giannis just bullying himself through an injury and everything that he had to go through. So I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see these teams do what they do and fight how they fight and bring it all together and all that. But, at the same time, this is frustrating to me to see this, be what, it's what LeBron has always been. And granted, he is talented. I don't want to take away from LeBron James, and I'm not trying to say he's not talented. He's obviously talented. But he's also doing this in such a way that I don't agree with it. It's hard for me to agree with it. It really is, because it just seems to take away from the game. It takes away from competition. I just don't like it. I'm not a fan of it, and I'm not for it. So that's where I'm at when it comes to the Lakers. I just buying a championship just seems ridiculous. Like, whatever happened to building up a player? Whatever happened to taking, what you have and seeing what you can get from it? So, I don't know. To me, it's not the way that I would want to see if it was my team. It's not the way I'd want to win a championship. I know you bring in a piece here and a piece there, but LeBron, you got Anthony Davis, you got Dwight Howard, you got Russell Westbrook. It's how many do you want? So, I'm just not a fan of it. That's what it comes down to. We'll take a step aside for a fast break inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Coming up next, the Boston College Eagles round out today's ushering in of the Atlantic Action Week, giving you my Q&As with the entire ACC's Atlantic Division this week. And you heard from NC State, Wake Forest, as well as Louisville. Coming up next is Boston College, where you'll hear from all three of their representative players, as well as their head coach, Jeff Hafley, will join Wake Up Call for the first time ever. So very excited to bring that to you right after this fast break, where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you so much for tuning in to the show. Appreciate you, as always, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, and plenty coming up right after this.
Cafe Cabal Mobile Cafe brings the cafe experience to you. We'll roll out to your neighborhood or office, ready to serve our locally crafted espresso bar to our loyal patrons. Inquire at cafecabal.com. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, located on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, is home to over 40 flavors with more than 200 flavors in their total wheelhouse. Sky's the limit for this sweet and savory Central New York company. Keep it local at your parties, fundraisers, wedding showers, baby showers, and more by calling 315-450-MA-PA. That's 315-450-6272 for popcorn bars with custom flavors and colors at your upcoming event. Make sure to visit them on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. And for more information, go to maandpassnacks.com. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? The Millhouse Market, located on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York, is worth the drive every time. Make sure you find your way out there. But first, download their app on the Google Play or Apple App Store. You'll have everything from the Millhouse Market at your fingertips, from their homemade breads and desserts to their quinoa bowls, rice bowls, as well as their salads, their brick oven pizzas, and, of course, you will get from them their sandwiches named after the families that helped to settle today's Pulaski. Ingrained in our community and ingrained in our taste buds, the most difficult thing that you will ever encounter at the Millhouse Market is the inability to really choose one thing when it comes down to it. You're going to have to get something for now and something to take home and eat later. A fantastic place with fantastic food and a great, great experience supporting local. Much appreciation to all of the wonderful people led by Rebecca Alford at the Millhouse Market. Make sure you head out there today and let them know that Wake Up Call sent you their way and pick out your favorite. And of course, on the app, you can also have you can get everything that you need, a map to their destination as well from wherever you are. Literally on the Millhouse Market app, months ago, the app was perfectly easy to use. They somehow made it even more user-friendly, which I didn't even know if that was possible. And on top of that, put in the map there to help you get to where you needed to go. So really do appreciate everything that they've done at the Millhouse Market to make it easy and to really just give us everything that we need to get us out there and to show us all of the fantastic food and ingredients and all of the amazing things that are located right there on 3790 New York 13 in Pulaski, New York. Absolutely, positively, without doubt, worth the drive every time. With that being stated, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, you're watching on Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on Facebook.com/LiveNowDT. You're listening on YouTube, and on YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT. You're listening on MixLR.com/WakeUpCallDT, as well as on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage. And we appreciate you being here, however you're connecting with the show. Thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you for being here with us on Wake Up Call. And this week being the Atlantic Action Week, giving you all 7 schools of the Atlantic Division. I went down to the ACC kickoff and spent my time with every single one of the 14 institutions. We're starting with the Atlantic this week. Next week will be the Coastal Division. So the Atlantic Action Week featuring BC, Clemson, Florida State, Louisville, NC State, Syracuse, and Wake Forest.
You've heard from NC State as well as Wake Forest and Louisville. It's now time to round out today's show with the Boston College Eagles. And I start things off with Boston College's head coach, Jeff Hafley. It's the first time I ever got to speak with Jeff, as he was hired last year, and we were unable to be there last year due to COVID. So Jeff Hafley and I had the opportunity to speak on his takeaways from having his first year at Boston College be during a pandemic. This is what he had to say.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Coach, your first year at BC, pandemic year. So a very unique experience for you, to say the least. What can you take away from last year, and how do you assess a year that was so unique and so different as you're trying to obviously build a new era at Boston College?
Yeah, good question. Really unique. I basically get the job, and all of a sudden we're all sent home. You don't really get to know your football team. You don't really get to meet them, spend time with them. You get to know them on Zoom. You do the best you can. You don't know if you're going to play a real football game. You don't have a team meeting room. It's the first time in front of media like this, probably since I've been a head coach. So it was different. Here's what I took away. We got a bunch of guys who came together, and they didn't make excuses. And we had over 8,000 tests, and up until the last week of the season, we didn't have one kid test positive. We had a bunch of guys who were told they wouldn't be able to do something, and they proved that they could. When you coach football or you play football, you deal with adversity, and usually it doesn't come right away. For our guys, it came right away. For our staff, it came right away. And our guys decided to get together and sacrifice. And we didn't miss a game. We didn't miss a practice. And we were competitive. And our guys started to love each other, believe in each other. So that's what I take out of the pandemic. So it was hard. It was really hard, guys. I mean, like I said, I barely met the team. We were getting ready to play a game. But we didn't make excuses. We got some great men. We got some great coaches. And I learned more about myself and more about our football team going forward because of the pandemic than I probably would have in 4 or 5 years being the head coach of Boston College. So I'm grateful for the men. I'm grateful for the leadership and Father Leahy and Pat Kraft and our coaching staff and what they were able to do in year one. And there's a lot of excitement right now about Boston College because we got some special players that you're going to hear from in a little bit.
I like what Jeff Hafley had to say. Listen, again, how did you treat the pandemic? How did you treat this time? What did you do with it? Did you become a better person? Did you evolve or did you devolve? Did you become better or worse? Did you bring in good habits, get rid of bad habits? Did you spend your time more wisely, or did you continue to waste it? Did you surround yourself with people that lift you up, or did you surround yourself with people that bring you down? Did you learn your lessons, or are you still making the same mistakes? Those are the questions we have to ask during the pandemic, and Jeff Hafley said, I learned more about this team during a pandemic than I would have learned 4 or 5 years as the head coach of the team. So I look at this and say, wow, that could be, having your first year being during a COVID year. How do you really assess that? Because it was such a unique year for the entire world dealing with a pandemic that, be way beyond football. We're just trying to stay alive and understand and be well and be safe and make sure that we can get food to our house and whatnot, and medicine if we need medicine. And then here you're playing football. So I'm sitting here thinking this got to be a really rough year, and it had to be really difficult. And what does Jeff Hafley say? Hey, Dan, guess what? I learned more about my team going through this pandemic than I could have learned in 4 or 5 years being their head coach. That's a glass half full guy right there. Saying I learned about these guys because you had to. You had to learn about their caliber. Could they listen? Could they take direction? Were they men of their word? Do they take personal responsibility? Do they have morals and values? Do they have restraint? Are they able to make sacrifices? You learn all those things during a pandemic. And shout out to Jeff Hafley for seeing that and seeing a positive in a time where a lot of people were focusing on the negatives, which that makes me want to be around Jeff Hafley even more. Having a guy focus on the positives, anybody focus on the positives, means a lot. Zion Johnson, one of his players, offensive lineman, I spoke with him about describing this past year and a half And the whole thing about having, that was spoken about earlier on at ACC kickoff, the strangeness of having cardboard fans in the stands, to have these cardboard cutouts to make it look like there were fans there. So just what he could say about this past year and a half and the cardboard fans. This coming from Zion Johnson. This is what he had to say.
Zion, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. You just heard Coach speak about the team, the situation, kind of going through the pandemic here and whatnot. What was the craziest part for you to go through this past, year and a half? And what was cardboard? I mean, how did you take the cardboard fans and everything else that was out there? And what are you looking forward to the most?
I mean, I would have to say, for me, my family usually goes to every game. I mean, they did in 2019, and the pandemic last season, they weren't really able to go to as many games. We had the cardboard fans. That can actually affect you, but I also think that our team did a great job of handling that and making the sacrifices necessary to go out and win if we needed to. And even with the cardboard fans, I think that our guys did a great job of sparking that inner fire to go out and play to their maximum potential.
And seeing fans sparking you to go out there and play at your highest potential, and the excitement of that. Fans want to be appreciated, players want to be appreciated, coaches want to be appreciated. Hopefully this time that we've had has helped you to appreciate everything. I really hope it has. I genuinely hope that you appreciate your life a lot. And hopefully more so than you did. Because, fans, sometimes people that call themselves fans, they're really disrespectful, and they're really mean, and they're really hateful, and they're really nasty, and players don't miss that, I am sure. But what they do miss is seeing you. They miss having you out there, loving them up, respecting them, even when things don't go the way that you hope it's going to go. They miss the positivity. So, God willing, we'll be in the stands again. God willing, we'll be there as media. And God willing, you'll treat them with the respect that they deserve. Because you should have missed them. This shouldn't have been easy. But now it's time to do things the right way. Now it's time to be positive. Now it's time to not only sit in the stands, but to cheer them on when they're losing. To cheer them on when they're winning. To be there. I never understood that. Being in an arena, and when a team's winning, people are going nuts. But when they're losing, or like it's a basketball game, and let's say they're up by 10, and now they're only up by 2, that's when I, as a fan, would be the loudest. Because you want to stop the 8-0 run by the other team. But what I've seen happen is people will stop cheering when the team's losing. Stop cheering. So if the wind's out of the team's sails on the court or on the field, and you're not cheering and the wind's out of your sails in the arena, then who's bringing them up? I would think you need to have your best rah-rah crew when you're losing, when you're struggling, when you're on the ground getting beat and you're on your knees. That's when I think it's easy to cheer for somebody when they're standing up tall and everything's going well and they're on the top of the mountain. But I think it's easier to get to the top of the mountain when you have people clapping for you at the bottom of the mountain, cheering you on when you slip and you grab that rock and you're trying to stay on. So, fans, I want you back in the stands, but I want you to be respectful. I want you to be excited. I want you to be happy. I want you to support. I want you to be loving and caring. Listen, your team is not going to win every game. Okay, that's probably not going to happen. So you got to stay in it somehow. You got to stay positive somehow. You got to find a way somehow. So yes, I want to see you back in the stands, but I want to see you loving up your teams. And they need you more when they're losing than they need you when they're winning. So just be there. Just be there. What do they say? Showing up is 90% of the battle. There's a lot of truth to that. Continuing Atlantic Action Week here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora with my Q&As with the entire Atlantic Division of the ACC. Next up is Marcus Valdez, defensive end, speaking with Marcus on how he would describe head coach Jeff Hafley on and off the field. And this is what Marcus Valdez, the defensive end, said about his head coach.
Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Marcus, how would you describe on and off the field your head coach?
I really feel like he's the same guy on and off the field. He's always going to keep it real with you, tell you the truth, and he's always going to motivate you. And I love what Coach Half preaches. Tough love, compete, and being for the team. So it's always sacrificing towards a bigger goal. It's always good to be a part of something bigger than yourself. So really that belief, and he's really instilled the confidence and belief in everyone. And I think that's gone a long way, and it will show up this season. So.
Tough love, compete, being with something bigger than yourself, taking responsibility. That's a lot. That's a lot of good. And it's a lot of stuff that's not easy to do. Tough love, compete, personal responsibility, and fighting for something that's bigger than just you as an individual. If that's what Marcus Valdez is learning from Jeff Hafley in a year, well, then Jeff Hafley's doing a heck of a bang-up job, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do this season. Phil Dracovic, the former Notre Dame quarterback, I had the opportunity to speak with him as well, and he will be the final Q&A of today's broadcast, A Wake Up Call, inside of the Atlantic Action Week, as you get to hear from the players and coaches around the Atlantic Division of the ACC, and being able to share that with you here today, which I'm ecstatic about being able to do. Phil Dracovic rounds things out with my question to him about what his offensive coordinator, Frank Cignetti Jr., has done with this offense. And this is what Phil Dracovic had to say.
Phil, Dan Tortora, wakeupcalldt.com. Offensive coordinator Frank Cignetti, just what you can say about what he's done with this offense and how you kind of describe his leadership and the plan that he's putting forward as you step into 2021.
Coach Cignetti's been great. He's had so much experience in both college and NFL, and so what he brings to us is NFL scheme, really NFL style, which I think makes us a little bit different than every other team in the ACC. With that comes a learning process, so that's taken some time for us, but now that we're in year two, he's really guiding us, and we're feeling a lot more comfortable with it.
Feeling more comfortable with this offense under Frank Cignetti Jr. Phil Dracovic saying this is year number 2. Guiding us through it, we're getting there. And that's all you can ask a team to do, is to find a way to get there and to get closer and closer to what they're hoping for. Very excited about this, very excited for what's to come with Boston College, as it's been a team that's obviously been a rival for Syracuse over the years, so they have been no stranger to my attention, and I am definitely looking forward to seeing where they go here inside of the ACC and how things shake out as we step into the 2021 season. So with that being stated, we'll take a step aside, our final step aside of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for today, where sports meets that thing called life. And we'll be back in just a moment to bring you the ingredients to success, as we bring you every Tuesday right around 10:50 a.m. Eastern Time, brought to you by Avicoli's Restaurant on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. Very excited to have them here with us right after this with a topic and its ingredients inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I'm honored to have you here. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, is our home for our Liverpool Warriors exclusive sit-down show every single month, on-site, on location, at Avicoli's. You can come out and see us every single month. We just had our Liverpool Leadership Lounge, and that is available to you on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, so make sure you definitely go and check that out. Avicoli's bringing a connection to the local high school within walking distance down the road, as well as to the community for over 2 decades. You can dine in with them Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. And, of course, they have multiple ways to enjoy their restaurant. You can have the pizza casual side, the fine dining, the bar, as well as the outdoor dining. And, of course, you can call them for takeout, delivery, and catering at 315-622-5100. Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding, both located in East Syracuse, right off of Bridge Street by Erie Boulevard. Your homes for short and long-term care for your furry-loving friends. The daycare is located on 228 Old Bridge Street and is open all throughout the week. And the campground is right around the corner on 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse. Both places, the perfect place for your dog. They screen every dog, get all the information, understand the temperament of the dog, make sure the dogs have had their shots, so that not only your dog is safe, but the dogs around them are safe as well. And, of course, they have a lot of care and concern for each individual dog. If you bring them to the campground, they have their own cabins, so they all sleep in their own spots. Their food is in there, so nobody will take their food. And if a dog's antisocial, kind of just keeps to themselves, then they're able to kind of just go into their cabin and relax. And if they want to come out and play with everybody, they're able to do that too. So whatever your dog's personality is, they all have a home at Canine Camp Dog Daycare and Canine Campground Dog Boarding. PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck you followed all over Central and Upstate New York, you can now go straight to their cafe at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Minutes from Destiny USA, Onondaga Lake Parkway, the highway, and the thruway. PB&J's Lunchbox is centrally located to give you your cravings all day long, Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. You can have breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Breakfast for dinner, lunch for breakfast, whatever you want to have. PB&J's Lunchbox has a phenomenal menu of the traditional foods as well as the outside-of-the-box food, which is fantastic. So PB&J's Lunchbox, thinking outside of the box for you every single week. Go out and see them on 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. What can I say? When you're looking for a doctor to care about you, care about your injury, care about you getting back to your best health that you can be in, to have true wellness in your life, you want a doctor who values you. You want a doctor who talks to you as an individual. You want a doctor who really, truly will explain what's going on. And besides Dr. Mark Petropoli and his team at Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, I've been hard-pressed to find that anywhere else. That's why I've gone there and continue to go there every single year for the last 8+ years. Thank you to Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics on 791 West Genesee Street in Skinny Atlas that are absolutely worth your phone call today. 315-685-7544. That's 315-685-7544. Any injury from head to toe, from preventative care to rehab and physical therapy to surgery, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics is here for you today and every day, so make sure you give them a call. With that being said, inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out here where sports meets that thing called life, very much appreciate you being here with us, and thank you so much for being a part of the show here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora as we get set for our final piece of every Tuesday broadcast, which are the ingredients to success, proudly brought to you by Avicoli's on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York. Your neighbor for over 2 decades and right down the road within walking distance of Liverpool High School. It is always a privilege for me to bring you the ingredients to success, a topic every single week, and the ingredients to success for that topic. So I'm going to focus this week on time wasters, right? People that suck your time out of your life and don't bring anything into your life. Time wasters. So here's the thing on this topic. When it comes to time wasters, you got to be smart, okay? Now, some people are incredibly good liars. Some people would waste your time telling you everything that you've hoped to hear, you desire to hear, you look forward to hearing, and you got to be smart about this. So this is why you go through life. This is why you have lessons, so that you can realize when someone is a time waster. If someone comes in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out, I don't know if I want to be in, I don't know if I want to be out, I don't know if I want to be in, that's a time waster. Let them go. If somebody is constantly questioning, it's a time waster. Let them go. Now, some people have been through a lot. They've been through troubles. And so I'm not saying that they can't have moments of strife. But when somebody is questioning themselves with you, that's a time waster. When somebody is constantly giving up on you and not giving up on you, giving up on you, not giving up on you, that's a time waster. When somebody tells you something and they don't mean it, that's a time waster. When somebody's on the phone with you and then tells you in hindsight, I didn't want to be on the phone, I didn't want to talk to you, that's a time waster. Don't stick around people that waste your time. Follow the signs, follow the bouncing ball, okay? We want people to be who they say they are, but not everybody is exactly who they say they are. And unfortunately, we find that out the very hard way, that people aren't always who they say they are. But when somebody is showing you the signs, when they are wasting your time, when you don't know if you're in or out, if you're coming or going, then it's time to walk away. My friends, get in touch. Maybe it's not every day, but they find their way back. Shout out to the Rosses and the Matts and the Evans of the world, the Robs. I have incredible people in my life. My parents, people that don't want to go a few days or a few months, or my buddy Mark, they don't want to lose you. My buddy AJ, who just reached out, there's people that really take the time to take the time. And I put up a post on my story, and I always try to put something up on the story every day at wakeupcall_DT on Instagram, so make sure you follow me there. And when it's my quote, I sign it, and every single one of them is signed individually by me to show you that this is my message to you. And, kind of like a little letter saying, hey, I'm thinking about you all. I hope you all are doing okay. If you need some inspiration, hopefully this helps. So I put up, don't waste time on the people that waste your time. Read this again. Don't waste time on the people that waste your time. What I mean by that is, when someone has wasted your time, when they've led you in a direction and that's not the direction that, they've led you down a road and then they just leave you there by yourself. When someone has wasted your time, when they've taken you down a road and they ditch you, don't waste any more time thinking about that person. Well, why did they do it? Well, what made them do it? Well, we should talk about it. Can I bring them back? Can I do it? No. If they abandon you, they abandon you. If they're not there on the road, they're not there on the road. So the worst thing you can do, that's even more worse than having a time waster in your life, is letting that person waste any more of your time. They don't matter. They don't count anymore. Somebody who's willing to waste your time, feed you a bunch of lies, tell you what you want to hear, whatever it may be, or who can't figure out themselves out to save their lives, they're time wasters. And time wasters do not deserve to have your time. You should be around people that value your time, that ask you about your day, that are there for you when people pass away, that are there for you when something good happens with your job, that are who they say they are. There's 3 words that people throw around all the time. I love you. And when those 3 words are thrown around, you can't take them lightly. And I haven't been perfect with it, but you can't take those words. You honestly can't say them unless you mean them. And you have to really know who a person is before you say it. Because I feel close to people and I want to spread love all the time with friends or a significant other, family, whatever. But some people are only good for that day. Right? And it's not that I don't have love and appreciation for them, but you have to be smart about the company that you keep. Because I get moments where I just get this rush of, hey, I'm so happy that I'm here with you. I'm so happy I have this opportunity. And then the next day, the person's a total jerk. I mean, you have to see consistency over time. Are they consistently wasting your time? Are they consistently giving to your life? And when someone's consistently wasting your time, you may love that person, but they don't deserve that love. They haven't earned that love. They haven't done something to hold on to that love and really appreciate that love and honor that love. And, my best advice to my future kids is when you're out there looking for love and you're out there trying to find something, or you're trying to find the right boss, or you want to make a new friend, or you're looking to build colleagues in the world that you live in. You really have to know who somebody is before you decide to say, I love you. You have to know who the person is. I love this job. I love, you know what I mean? And I tell people all the time, in business and personal, you will find out very quickly if you love something versus if you think you love something. Because if you love it, you will always be there. If you think you love it, you will waste time and you will abandon it 1,000 times. And when somebody abandons you the first time, especially in the beginning, a couple weeks in, it's a red flag. If you have a boss go against their word in the first 2 weeks, they're probably going to do that forever, right? There could be extenuating circumstances, but you got to track that. When somebody wants to date you and a weekend and knowing, I want to talk to you, don't want to talk to you, I want to talk, I want to see you, don't want to see you, it's too much. When you have friends that show up, don't show up, don't show up, show up. No. When somebody is all over the place, that should tell you something about who they are and their inability to commit. And when you can't commit to something, I don't want somebody working for me that can't commit. I don't want somebody dating me that can't commit. I don't want a friend that I can't count on. So when you are all over the place and 1 minute you're nice and the next minute you're a total jerk, those are time wasters. Take the time to see the room. Take the time to notice. Watch behavior over time. People's behavior over time are their habits. That is who they are. What you do over time becomes a habit. Your habits become your personality. Your personality becomes what people think of you off of. It becomes who you are. So if you're a person that's constantly, and you do that all the time, like, listen, you might have a day where you're jumbled, but if you're always then nobody's going to be able to track that, and you can't put that in a bottle, right? You can't grab that. So, time wasters, my advice to you, survey the room, watch it over time. I'm not telling you don't enjoy people's company. I'm not telling you treat everything like a job. Just, you got to be careful about saying the words, I love you. You got to be careful about the friends you have. You got to be careful about the person you date. You got to be careful about the bosses. You got to be careful about the family you're around. You got to be careful about all of that. Because the reality of life is, people will waste your time if you let them, but they're going to do what they want to do. You can't control that. But when somebody is wasting your time, it is your job to notice that, see if it happens habitually, and get rid of it. Because when somebody is not someone you can count on, professionally or personally, when they waste your time, it's their fault in the beginning, and it's your fault that they waste your time if you continue to let them. So don't think anymore about the people that have wasted your time. If they've done it habitually, they don't get to do it today. May today be the last day that you think about that person. And that doesn't mean don't pray for them, and it doesn't mean don't hope for them, but it means move forward, because your time is precious. Life can go at any moment. So don't sit here and be mad at the people that wasted your time. Don't even think about them anymore. Because every second on a person that's already wasted your time is more time out of your hourglass. Do not let anybody waste your time. Once you figure it out, move on to the next, and keep going. And don't look back. Because time wasters will always look to suck more time out of you. And you get to decide how much time they get once you realize they've already taken something. Be smart, don't worry about the past, and build a better future by taking care of your present. Be around the people that appreciate your time and spend your time wisely when you're just by yourself. Do good things, and do not be naive enough to think that today and tomorrow and every other day is promised. You have this moment. Spend it wisely. I would tell you to work at the job and be around the people that if there was a zombie apocalypse today, you would be happy that these people were fighting with you. You would be happy they're part of your team. You would be happy that if you never did this job again, at least this is where you were. Because you think about that. If the world said today a meteor is coming and it's going to hit at 10 o'clock tonight, how many of us are with the right people, surrounded by the right people, in the right place, in the job? Are we regretful? Are we wasting time? Or are we making the most of our time? Because I don't want a meteor to come at any point. But if it's coming and I'm saying I've lived my best life and I'm surrounding myself with good people and these people don't waste my time and they love me and I love them and I love my job and I love what I do and I love my God, well then you know what? If worse comes to worse, I'm living out the last moments of my life in a good way. But if you're in a situation where you're surrounded by time wasters or you're wasting your own time, that's a different world. And that world's going to be a lot more scary if there was a meteor coming. So treat every day like you don't have tomorrow. And do not give any more time to the people that have already taken sand inside of your hourglass in a negative way. Be good to each other and be good to yourself. With that being said, inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, a big thanks to the NC State Wolfpack, the Wake Forest Demon Deacons, the Louisville Cardinals, and the BC Eagles, and to the ACC as a whole for the ACC kickoff, which allowed me the opportunity to interview all of these schools to be able to bring it to you in Atlantic Action Week. Coming up for the rest of the week, Florida State, Clemson, and Syracuse will all be here on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/livenowdt, and on mixlr.com/wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.com. You can also go back and watch these interviews on YouTube, and I'll share them on our social media as well, so you'll never miss a moment of any of this on our social media, at wakeupcalldt on Twitter, at calldt on Instagram, and at wakeupcall_DT, at wakeupcall_DT on Instagram, at calldt on Twitter, at wakeupcalldt on Facebook. And of course, you can search our archives, and as I told you, we added over a dozen shows recently to the archives. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on any of these beautiful channels, from MixLR to Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Podbean, YouTube, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. And you'll find our shows there. And a special thanks to our Central and Upstate New York partners, which continue to grow. Our family is a beautiful family, and I'm so happy to have the family we have. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, Wildcat Sports Pub, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, and Chick-fil-A Clay, Avicoli's, Victory Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, Millhouse Market, PB&J's Lunchbox, Mother's Cupboard, Canine Camp Ground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Honda City Liverpool, and Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. Use the promo code DT20 at maandpazpopcorn.com for 20% off anywhere in the country. Any one of the 50 states can order from maandpazpopcorn.com and get 20% off on me. DT20 is the code. Go to maandpazpopcorn.com. If you live here and you're doing in-store pickup in Liverpool, you can use the promo code DT20 online. If you're having it shipped to you in any one of the 50 states, you can use the promo code DT20 online. DT20, maandpazpopcorn.com. Get your snacks today and get 20% off. And for those of you that are going to be watching Boeheim's Army tonight, head off to 201 Old 7th North Street and get your popcorn ready with your favorite Ma and Pa's kettle corn that you'll grab right before the game so that you can have it while you're watching the game. And you can go online and do the in-store pickup, maandpazpopcorn.com right now, and use the promo code DT20, and then head over there to pick it up later on today and have it for Boeheim's Army's game in just a little bit. With that being stated, we'll be back the rest of the week, God willing, to be here with you inside the Cafe Kubal Studios. For now, this is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thank you again to NC State, Wake Forest, Louisville, BC, all of my guests within all of that. And you know that I love being personal, so I want to thank them individually. Sam Hartman, Luke Masterson, Dave Clausen, as well as Grant Gibson, Devin Leary, Peyton Wilson, Dave Doran, CJ Avery, Malik Cunningham, Marshawn Ford, Scott Satterfield, Phil Drakovich, Marcus Valdez, Jeff Halfley, and Zion Johnson. Thank you for being a part of today's show. Thank you to the institutions, thank you to the ACC, and thank you to Avicoli's for the ingredients to success on Time Wasters today. I'll talk with you soon, and as always, God bless, no stress, do your best. No more time wasted on those that waste your time. I'll talk to you soon.